Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So the Crumbleys and Oxford High School are being sued by the families of the victims that were shot by Ethan Crumbley. So this guy presents some of the reasons why they're suing him, and it finally gives the details of what happened that day at the school, like beforehand. Remember, I kept saying, I kept asking, well, how did that meeting take place? Where was Ethan? What happened? Did they insist on it? Because, of course, if they didn't insist on getting him out of the school, taking him, making him leave, then it's the school's fault too, right? So I totally agree with this. The school screwed up a lot too. So the school and the parents, I feel like both just really messed this one up. It's very interesting. I'm not going to, I'll let you guys listen to what happened that day, and it'll make you very upset about the way the school handled it. So please listen to this. I mean, try to listen to the whole thing, because it gives all the details of exactly what happened as far as that meeting and just how all the little specifics that I've been asking in like every video and all the lives talking about it. I'm like trying to figure out and wishing that there was more details on the little specifics of the details that happened that day when they called the parents into the school. So here is the video, guys. Let me know what you think. Everybody have a good night. But here it is. So don't leave. Watch it. Okay. Bye, guys.
Talked about that he got caught. Caught means you're doing something wrong. He knew what he was doing. It's almost like he wanted to be caught. So what did she do when mom didn't call? Send him back to class. That is a violation of the Child Protective Act. What follow-through was there? Where was the second phone call? Where was the email? Where was the principal? Where was anybody? And we don't have that yet, but when we get depositions of all these people. Now we got the next day, the 30th, the day of the meeting. And you all have seen and heard a little bit about what's going on that day, but there's actually two teachers involved in that day, and we describe them as Teacher 2 and Teacher 3 in our lawsuit. We've heard about the teacher and the drawings, which I'll show you again. But what we didn't hear, I didn't hear, until just recently, the investigation revealed, is it the same teacher or a different teacher? Can't tell you yet, because they haven't turned that stuff over yet, since the prosecution is still just getting up and running. But another teacher saw Ethan on his phone watching a violent video of a shooting. Again, in class, folks. At school. Who would do that? Think about that. He knows he's going to get caught. And in a weird psychological twisted way, he apparently wanted to be. And they just ignored it. The other teacher saw, what you've all seen, is his test review paper. These are the drawings at 8:59 on November 30, just a few hours before killing Tate, before killing Justin and the other children, and right in front of Keegan and threatening him right to his face. This gun looks a lot like the gun I just showed you about that was posted, because that is his gun. That's his Sig Sauer. Underneath it, the thoughts won't stop. Help me. A person with 2 bullet holes, apparently waving, because it's a kid, with blood all around. A bullet, blood everywhere, is written. Smiley face, actually someone laughing, smiley face, so crying that they're laughing so hard. My life is useless and the world is dead. You don't have to be a psychologist or psychiatrist to see this and feel the sadness and desperation of the person writing this on his Chapter 5 test review of using congruent triangles. Not anything to do with the schoolwork at all. And the teacher saw this and obviously took a picture of this. We've all read that. But now we have the teacher seeing the violent video of the shooting. We have a drawing of a violent shooting. We have a person bleeding out. We have a gun. We have a bullet. Other than simply saying, by the way, I got my gun in the backpack that's in the room with me here, because it was. I'm going to shoot up the school today. What else could be possibly would somebody want to know in terms of warning? So what we know is the teachers, of course, sent this down to the administration again. And again, what they're going to do is they're going to tell you, oh, wait a minute, that's how we do it at Oxford. Well, not according to the Michigan Child Protection Act, you don't. You won't get out of it because you have some internal policy that says you don't have to report when under the law you do. So he gets sent down to the counseling office, is my understanding. They say office, they're not very specific, but we'll get there. And that's when he gets to see counselor number 2, who is Mr. Sean Hopkins. And Mr. Hopkins, to his credit, gets Nicholas Ejak, E-J-A-K, involved because he's the dean of students. The way apparently Oxford works is that the counselors are supposed to be involved if they have concerns about somebody that might need some psychiatric or medical care. They might be concerned about suicide. Apparently they weren't worried about homicide, but we'll get to that. And then the discipline end goes to the Mr. Ejak, the dean of students. So what happened was they went and they interviewed Ethan, and Ethan knew now he was now in trouble. So Ethan thought he would obscure the evidence. Ethan crossed off the handgun. Ethan crossed off the words blood everywhere. But he left the bullet, interestingly enough. The thoughts won't stop. He didn't cross off, interestingly, but the line, help me, he crossed off. He crossed off the blood everywhere. Video game this is, he wrote. And then he crossed off, my life is useless. He wrote in harmless act. He added, I love my life so much, with 4 exclamation points, and OHS rocks. We're all, well, he spelled we're wrong, but we are all friends here, he wrote, and crossed off the my life is useless and my world is dead. Any psychologist, any social worker, any person with half a brain, would know he got caught and he's covering up what he did wrong. So the fact that he actually did this is even more evident, in essence, that he was trying to make it so obvious, I'm in trouble here. So what did they do? Mr. Ejak, Mr. Hopkins, they called mom and dad. And what their what their statements had been to the investigators is that we called dad, and when he answered, there was just dead space air. We then called mom. Remember, mom was called the day before and never responded. This time she apparently picked up, and they asked her to come in and say, we got issues with Ethan, we need to talk to you right now. And she said, I can't because of work. Now, what we don't know yet is the interplay between Ms. Fine from the day before and these gentlemen, but I don't know where you all work, but I know this, if something's going on in Jeff Stewart's office, and he's not right next door, these folks I'm sure they are because they're both counselors, but Jeff Stewart's going to tell Ben Johnson, man, something really weird happened here. I called the mom and she never even got back to me when her kid's looking up ammunition at school. So I believe the evidence is going to prove these two spoke and they knew what was going on. And what happened was these folks finally came to school, and they have Ethan now apparently in a separate room. He's explaining all this nonsense away through lies and deceit, covering it up. And the parents, the investigation has revealed, were not impressed with anything, didn't think there was a problem, nothing bad's going wrong, and oh, by the way, is the meeting over? So I say to you folks, your level of suspicion was high before, but when you have parents that look you in the face and either don't give a flying hoot or are just so oblivious that it doesn't register, all you have to do is make one call. It's called 911. There's a liaison officer from Oakland County Sheriff Department that works at Oxford School. Apparently wasn't there that day, but that's why we have these things called phones. I don't know about you all, but I carry mine right there. Call 911. We have a kid drawing 2 days in a row about guns, so forth, hurting people. We need your help. Come figure this out. And if they had done that, what would have happened is they have a task force in the Oakland County Sheriff Department, ladies and gentlemen, for this very thing. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. Part of the task force is the FBI. They get involved in these things to investigate, to see what's going on, and if there's other people involved, and if there's going to be a shooting. They never made the call. When the meeting was occurring with the parents in the room, Hopkins and EJAC told the parents that they suspected that Ethan had suicidal ideations, fancy terms for, we think the kid's going to hurt himself. There is, I believe, once we get into this, there's going to be evidence that there have been previous suicides at Oxford High School. My understanding is that there's been a couple in the recent past, so this issue was supposedly on the forefront of everybody's mind. Should have been. But apparently, it wasn't. And what they ended up doing is they said to the parents, you need to get Ethan, they call it therapy. It's not therapy, it's intervention now. I ask you, think of what happened if this was at your house. What would you do with this kid? Now he's on his cell phone. He's writing pictures of this stuff. Would you let him near your kid without seeing what he's got in his hands or in his backpack that's, by the way, no longer with him? They left the backpack in the classroom that he was in. So now he's in the office without the backpack. Wouldn't you want to ask him, do you have a plan? There's protocols. And then ultimately what I'm going to do is say, hey mom, hey dad, our kids were playing at our house, but this is no longer fun, okay? You come get this kid and take him for help right now, or I'm calling the cops. 911, and let them figure it out. Child Protection Act. I'm permitted to report reasonable cause to suspect something is very wrong with this kid's health, welfare, and medical condition. They never did. So they wanted him to get immediate day. Crumbley's refused. Level of suspicion goes from high to guaranteed something's up with this kid. Apparently, Mrs. Crumbley told him, we can't take him home. We don't have time from work. So, no, I'm not taking him home. Well, last time I knew, if your kid gets suspended or they tell you to send him home, you have to. What did they do? The Crumleys left. And they told him when they were going out the door, you've got 48 hours to get your kid help or call Child Protective Services. Sound familiar? CPS. Nice try, but you needed to do it that day. Immediate is what the law says. Immediate. So what did they do? Crumleys left. Ethan stayed at school. Time had passed, so it was a different hour of classroom. And based on our understanding of the facts, Mr. Hopkins, being the counselor, went down to the classroom, got the backpack, brought it to Ethan, and gave it to Ethan without searching it. Let me say it again. He gave him the backpack without searching it. And I go back to my analogy. If this is at your home, what would you do? I wouldn't even ask. And you can tell me then there's a law. Good luck with that. Absolutely had an obligation to. This is beyond gross negligence. Ethan then goes back to class. His parents leave the building somewhere around 11 o'clock, and we know before 1 o'clock, less than 2 hours later, his rampage and what it did. So, my clients are very sensitive to the fact that this is their community. My clients, our clients, are very sensitive to the fact that this was their high school and that these were the people that they entrusted with their children. They lived there for a reason. They wanted to be there. They're a close-knit community, and they liked the school. But these errors are so far beyond negligent. They are grossly negligent, even though we shouldn't have to prove that. We will. And they are absolutely the best opportunity that anyone had to stop Ethan from what Ethan was clearly there to do that day. Because according to the investigation, the gun and the ammunition was in his backpack. So, when people ask, and you're going to want to know, why are you doing this? You're going to hear it from these folks. But everyone responsible should be held accountable. Everyone responsible should step up and have to face the ramifications. I'm not the Oakland County prosecutor, so the Crumbleys are all charged criminally like they should be, and they are guilty, all of them. Hence, we sued them in this case because they are partly responsible too. But so are these folks from Oxford. And as evidence comes forward in the case, if it leads us to more people that violated the Child Protection Act, then we will be bringing them to justice as well. The last thing I'm going to mention about lawsuits and civil, I'm not the prosecutor. I can't put them in jail. All I get to do is ask for money. You folks love that question. I don't blame you. At Johnson Law, we don't put down large numbers in a lawsuit just to get your attention. You guys, we have your attention, and we knew we would in this case anyway. It's one of the most tragic, saddest things I can think of. I've lived in Michigan my entire life, my 60 years, and I can't think of anything worse than this. Fact of the matter is, we use the jurisdictional amount like we always do. All we have to do in Oakland County Circuit Court is prove and request that the lawsuit, we're entitled to $25,000 or more. That doesn't mean we'll only ask for $25,000 at trial. Right now, these family members all know there's no guarantee of any outcome in terms of money in this case. But until we get to the bottom of all of this and a lot more, I know this: these families can't rest knowing that there are children in jeopardy when people who have an obligation of the law to do their job don't do their job. And in my opinion, not just do their job, but do the right thing by all of us. So I'm now going to turn it over. I've asked the families if they want to make a statement, and I'm going to do this as kind of a deal. You guys know, you guys are all professionals. I respect that. We're having this press conference today really for one reason. Don't go to my clients' houses. Don't call them on the phone. Don't send them emails. Don't send them texts if you can get their number. Please don't do that. This is their public comment. Come through me. Okay? I can't promise I'm going to produce them ever again. I'm sure I will, but I'm not going to promise that either. I know you want to talk to them. This is the day. But do it with one of us present. Please respect our rules. I know you will. And leave them alone. They've had enough. So, Buck, on behalf of you and Sherry, on behalf of your sons, Trent and Ty, family friend Frank Kerr, would you like to say a couple words?
Good morning. Today's the 50th morning we've woken up without Tater. Tomorrow will be the 59th, following day to be the 60th. For the rest of our lives, we don't have Tate. We're sad and heartbroken. Our lives are forever changed. Our family will never be the same. All these moments, give you a few of them, that we will never get to share again with Tate. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the holidays. His birthday.
Which just passed, right?
Which just passed. He was a January 1 baby. His senior football season, which you all know he loved football. His senior wrestling season. His graduation. Going off to college. Probably playing football in college. Chasing his dream. Graduating from college. Landing his first real job. All these major milestones that we never get to have with him. Getting married. Standing up in his brother's wedding. having kids, being an uncle. None of these amazing moments Tate would never have the opportunity to have. People are texting us and calling us all the time and asking us how we're doing. We're not doing good. All we do is walk around the house and think about Tate. We think about him every day. We sit in his room. We listen to his playlist off of Spotify. We miss him. And we're not doing good. But we're going to find a way to get through it together. A couple things I want to share. You guys have probably heard a lot about Tate. I'm going to tell you a little something more about Tate. He was an amazing, selfless young man who put everybody else first. He was a great buddy to his friends and his teammates. He was an unreplaceable wingman to our family dog Cash. They were buds. He was a caring boyfriend, a loyal brother, very loyal, and a very loving son. We miss him so much. Tate had a wonderful balance of being accountable, strong young man, and having empathy for others. I see there's a picture back here of the Christmas tree farm. That was Tate loved Christmas. He loved it. He was the one knocking down the doors to go cut the tree down. He was the one helping me get it set up, making sure it was square. The crazy OCD thing, making sure that thing is square, right? Absorbing everything. He loved decorating the tree with Mom, decorating the house with Mom, making Christmas cookies. Tate loved to go to Uncle Kurt and Aunt Libby's cabin up north. Loved that place. Hanging outside fires, kayaking down the river, doing some float hunting. Tate loved to hunt and fish. And Tate just loved spending time at home. He had a wonderful balance of hanging out with his buddies, but he also loved to be home. He loved to hang out at home, bring his buddies over and hang out with us. And one thing that I think, that really stands out in Tate is he took his role as a leader very, very serious. And his teammates know that. He was steadfast on creating a selfless, team-first environment. He understood that you couldn't win alone. What 16-year-old kid understands that? He was wise beyond his years. He was one of a kind. He was a special kid.
Really, 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 really need your love. I'm begging you to be kind. I'm begging